Underdog. The impossible can happen. The impossible team, and that was it. We were 100-to-1 odds. So how could it not take you by storm? How could it not, shake you to your soul and say, how in the world can these 25 individuals, how could they get it done?
I think Baltimore is way ahead of the Mets.
But Baltimore has a far better ball club. I think it's going to be awfully difficult for the Mets to win.
That particular ball, I wasn't sure. I just took off running that ball. And, and in my mind, when I took out the ball, I knew it was the World Series. And I said that if I got to run through the wall to catch this ball, I said I'm running right through the wall. And when I took off after that, I never thought about anything else but catching the ball.
To make that catch in a World Series, to have guys like Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle when he was alive say he thought that was one of the greatest catches he ever saw in a World Series, it's a fulfillment of whatever I was or was not as a baseball player. It's nice to know that you left some tracks in the sand that remain.
When nobody wants to bunt. Who wants to come in the World Series? Everybody's watching back home. The whole world's watching. Who wants to bunt? Well, I did.
It's like a dream, playing ball then in '69 in New York. I look back now and I really did play there. But it's just like it went so quickly that I wasn't even there. But I'm sure glad I was.
The official lineup.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really something to ball. Knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the M-E-T-S Mets of New York, town of New York, town.
In 1968, the New York Mets had wound up in 9th place, a record that would have been an embarrassment for some teams, but represented only the second time the Mets had soared so high. When the 1969 season opened, the odds against their winning the pennant were 100-to-1. And true to form, they dropped 7 of their first 10 games. But they now had a superb manager and a fastballer from Texas named Nolan Ryan. They were soon locked in a season-long struggle for first place.
So the Mets are 1 out away from their impossible dream.
They won 38 of their last 49 games to take the Eastern Division title by 8 games.
Garrett has the ball, a throw to first, and the Mets are the national champions.
Then swept the Atlanta Braves for the pennant. But Earl Weaver's Orioles, the best team in baseball that year, were waiting for them in Baltimore. As expected, the Mets lost the first game 4-1, but they came back to take the second behind the brilliant pitching of Jerry Koosman. And then the Orioles came to Shea Stadium, where the Mets and 56,000 of their fans were waiting for them. New York won the third game 5-0.
In a year of change and surprise across baseball and America, the Mets were suddenly in position to deliver perhaps the biggest shocker of all. Up 2-1 in the 1969 World Series, with New York in a fit of excitement, Mets 25-game winner Tom Seaver went to the mound in Game 4, aiming to put the series further out of reach. Seaver and the Mets held a 1-0 lead for 8 innings. Then in the top of the 9th, with a runner on third and 1 out, another amazing outfield play curbed an Oriole rally.
And there's a drive to right center. Roboda comes up with it and ball to third. Here comes Frank Robinson. The game is tied. Roboda making another sensational catch for the Mets.
The game went to the 10th, tied. And in the bottom of the frame, fate appeared to intervene once more. as J.C. Martin was hit by a Pete Rickard throw, allowing Rod Gaspar to dash home with the winning score.
Here comes the winning run. The Mets win the ball game by a score of 2-1.
Improbably, the Mets had a 3-1 series lead and a chance to clinch the World Series at Shea the next afternoon. The Orioles took a 3-0 lead.
Bring him on.
But by now it was clear the odds meant little to the Mets.
Leon skipping to get out of the way, and it's ball one.
In the sixth, the McNally pitch to Cleon Jones appeared to bounce away. But when Mets manager Gil Hodges presented a ball with a shoe polish stain on it to the umpires, Jones was awarded first base. The polish was the beginning of the end for the Orioles, as Clendenon followed with a homer. And after Koosman settled down, Ron Swoboda gave the Mets a lead they would never surrender.
Jones is coming home. There'll be no play at the plate. The Mets are leading by a score of 4-3.
From there, it was just a matter of time.
There's a fly ball out to left, waiting is Jones. The Mets are the world champions.
The team that couldn't had become the team that did.
Look at this scene.
Never before and never since has there been a more unlikely world champion than the 1969 New York Mets.
We come to play. This is a club that played this way all year long. We came from behind. We did it today because we never put our heads between our legs, and we always fought, and it's the greatest feeling in the world.